Hey GBA fans, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm coming to you guys today with my team builder for week 2 versus Randy, aka HLD Productions, aka coach of the Texas Rangers, aka last season's runner-up. He did have a very nice run through the season last season. It was completely under everybody's radar. Kicked things off with a week 1 victory over Gregulator. He was able to ride through the season, knocking out Jolts in the semifinals and taking on Leo in the finals, not quite being able to finish it off, but having a very impressive run, and now he's regarded as one of the top dogs in this season. And so much like him last time around, I'm hoping that we can come in here and knock him off, no pun intended, try to, prove ourselves as one of the top coaches in the league this season. And so this really is a statement game for me. I think that if we can beat Randy, we'll show that we're here to play. We're here, and we want to be not just cruising into playoffs. We want to be dominating and coming in as one of the top seeds. And this is the place where it all starts. So with that said, let's take a quick look at his team. He has Celesteela, Megalopony, Latios, Shaman, Rotom Heat, Mamoswine, Rabombi, Jellicent, Uxie, Barbaracle, and Skuntank. So definitely a scary roster. A little more well-rounded than OP Jellicent's. God bless the man. He's a very skilled battler. He's made playoffs in leagues that I've been in the past, and is currently doing well in other leagues such as ICBA, but the roster he's got is funky, to put it politely. Randy's, on the other hand, I guess, yeah, it's a little bit more well-rounded is what I would say. And it's got a lot of things that I tend to like he's got double waters, which I think is very good. He's got a Pursuit Trapper. He's got one of my favorite mons of all time, and Lopunny is just so good. Like he described in his draft analysis, it's sort of brainless, but it's sort of not, right? Like, you have to design your team in such a way that Lopunny can come in the end game and just clean up, and you have to be aware of what your opponent's Lopunny counters are going to be. He should be able to look at my roster and see that Lottie and Gligar are really the only things that stand a chance versus Lopunny. That's putting it, I guess, maybe exaggerating a little bit. Neither of them are fantastic checks to Lopunny. So he's probably gonna have a game plan that's built around using Lopunny and trying to weaken the 2 checks that I have to it. And of course, you can't sleep on Celesteela. Celesteela, it's one of the top mons in the format. Just Autotomi sets, once they get that first kill, it's a snowball. It's really hard to stop them. And so we've taken great care to prepare for some of the crazier sets that he might bring in terms of what can sweep. So like Autotomi Celesteela, Dragon Dance Latios, the Rabombi actually is also a huge threat. We're trying to take precautions against all of those things. And we've got a couple of win conditions on our own that I will bring up to you guys. So without further ado, let's kick things off and look at that win con first of all, and that is our Panthro, the Suicune. This mon is really going to put in the work. So if you look at his team, his only ways to hit this thing super effectively are Shaman and Rotom. So we can easily take care of Rotom by Calm Minding up and making it so that it can't do tremendous damage to it with his Electro-type moves. For Shaman, we have Sub Protect. So Vincoon is a pretty well-known top-tier threat in Smogon OU, Smogon UU. If you've ever watched a Gypsy video, you know that Vincoon is a personal favorite of his. It just is so good at beating its checks. And so with Seed Flare from Shaman only having 8 PP, we can hopefully reduce that thing down to 0 and leave it with only non-stab coverage moves to hit us, which are not going to be able to break a sub with just 1 or 2 Calm Mind boosts. It sort of depends on what his spread is and what his item is and things like that. I guess I'm neglecting one thing here. If he has Water Absorb Jellicent, that does wall this set. But the nice thing is that my team has a lot of good ways of pressuring Jellicent. One of them being this mon here, my Adamant Banded Darmanitan. So the only move I really need in this matchup is Flare Blitz. I just said really twice. But what I'm saying is, whether it's Rotom that's physically defensive, whether it's Jellicent, if it's a Fizz-Def Lottie or whatever, none of those things really matter. They all get 2-hit KO'd by Adamant Banded Flare Blitz. So we can bring this thing in and basically collect a kill every single time. However, we don't need to 2-hit KO Jellicent in order to set up the Suicune sweep. We only need to get off Toxic on it. And so I'm going to be leading this thing, and then I'm going to be clicking Toxic turn 1. The reason I'm doing that is because Darmanitan, if you see it as a lead, you're definitely expecting a Scarf set. So even if he leads something like Lopunny, we can just stay in, take the Fake out if he does have it, and if he has Jellicent on his team, he's going to go hard into it on my Flare Blitz or U-turn or whatever, and we'll hit that thing with a Toxic, assuming that we hit. And that's pretty much it. Then we can use Darmanitan again later in the game as a wall breaker. If we can bring it in on Shaman, we can bring it in on Skuntank, Mamoswine, whatever. We can outspeed and take those mons out with Flare Blitz, or at least collect a kill on something. It's gonna be very good for applying pressure to Celesteela. Like if I can somehow pivot into Darmanitan on a predicted Celesteela switch in, we can do that and then basically collect a kill. I'm not even sure if Aka Parry can survive a banded Flare Blitz from Adamant Darmanitan. So we'll have to see if that ends up happening. My other way of pressuring Jellicent is my Terrakion here. So this is another Mon with Toxic this week. If he wants to switch it in on a predicted close combat, we can hit it up with Toxic. And just in case, yeah, it's really there in case my my lead Darmanitan play does not work out as planned. Because if I can't Toxic it, I'm really screwed. So that's pretty bad. Stone Edge by itself does not 2-hit KO Jellicent. So that's kind of why we have the Toxic there, just so we have some other means of beating it. The funny thing about Randy's team is that besides Mega Lopunny, he doesn't have a Rock Resist. And so that makes Scarf Stone Edge pretty scary. For him and for me, of course. If my Terrakion is not as well trained as A-Drive's, we could potentially lose the game due to a missed Stone Edge. But hopefully we can position ourselves where if it's like last Mon Terrakion, he's got 2 or 3 Mons left that are all whittled, we can bring it in, and we only need to hit 2 or 3 Stone Edges, and we can try and pull the game out that way. So yeah, getting ourselves into position late game to do Stone Edge would be really nice. Otherwise, this is reliable as a revenge killer for Lopunny. It can take out non-speed boosted Ribombee. It can take out not Darmanitan, Rotom, Mamoswine, all sorts of things. So it's quite nice. And it also comes in fairly freely on Skuntank, should he choose to bring it. And I think it's fairly likely, because he can use it to Pursuit Trap my Lottie. Lottie, as I said, is one of my best checks to Lopunny. So if he can Pursuit Trap that thing, it makes it way less useful versus Lopunny. So I have that in the back of my mind. Might have to make some aggressive doubles so that I can get into that position versus Skuntank. So, next, we want to go onto our Raikou. So this is the second choice Scarfer that we have. So we're running double Scarf this week. There should be some decent mind games going on in this matchup here. I'll lead with the Darm. He'll be expecting choice Scarf. And I'll go for a Toxic to hit the Jellicent that comes in. And he shouldn't be, if I go for the Toxic there, he should still be suspicious of Scarf. But it turns out that Darmanitan is not the Scarfer. It's both Terrakion and Raikou. So, this is Scarf mainly for Celesteela. Like, Terrakion can outspeed, but if I don't have the proper chip damage, I won't be able to take it out with close combat. Here, we do have the Thunderbolt to do as much damage to it as possible. And then in the other move slots, we're packing Signal Beam and Aura Sphere. So Signal Beam hits things like Lottie and Shaman super effectively, Uxie as well. Then Aura Sphere is a pretty cheeky one. It does hit Mamoswine, which is his best response to Raikou on the switch-in, and it also does hit Lopunny for super effective damage. It does like 70% or 68% or so to a uninvested Lopunny. So that's very good. With the Rash Nature, which is required, of course, for running Aura Sphere, we do still outspeed a +2 max speed Timid with Celesteela. So that's pretty nice. So if he does choose to bring a max speed one, we still outspeed it. And, he wants to do that so that he can outspeed Darmanitan, my most likely Scarfer. it would be good for me for him to do that because it takes a lot of his bulk away. And yeah, like defensive Celesteela I think could potentially be a problem in this matchup. I don't really have a great strategy for dealing with it other than just like trying to pivot around, make sure it doesn't get up substitutes and whatever. So yeah, those are my two sort of checks to the crazy things that he could have in the late game. Then I've got my two defensive mons here. First is my my Pokemon making its triumphant return from last week. Get Unlocked, the Klefki, hashtag Get Unlocked down in the comments section below. We've got a slightly different spread this week than we had last week. We're not running Recycle, we're just running Leftovers. T-Wave is there to act as an oh shit button versus his setup sweepers. And Magnet Rise gives us viability versus Mamoswine, Celesteela to an extent, and also Dragon Dance Latios. And the main thing that I wanted from the Klefki this week was Defog. So if he brings Sticky Webs on Ribombee, all of our strategies are pretty much ruined. We don't really have a way to work around it. So I felt like Klefki was mandatory for that. I didn't want to run Defog on Latios, and I wasn't bringing in any other forms of hazard removal, so it had to be Klefki. And you know, it's useful still as a defensive check to a lot of different things, so it's totally worth it. This leaves us with mono play rough coverage, which is not the best versus his team, but it's actually pretty decent. Like, it just is only ineffective versus Celesteela and Rotom. I guess like Rotom is a super hard check to this thing. But Celesteela, like if he wants to bring it in, we can at least T-Wave it and make it annoying for him to have that Mon. We can go into Darmanitan and always outspeed it, or we can go to Raikou or whatever. Then last but not least, we do have the Latios, my Thanos Copter, and we're running a physically defensive spread this week. And physically defensive is really nice for the Lopunny, of course. We are not 2-hit KO'd by an Adamant return from Lopunny, as long as rocks are not up. If rocks are up, we most likely don't take it. I think it was like an 80% chance to KO or something like that. So yeah, preventing rocks, very crucial for this matchup. He only has, I guess, 3 rockers. I'm not sure if Barbaracle gets Stealth Rocker or not. I'm sure it does. It certainly looks like it does. And indeed, Showdown is telling me that it does. But otherwise, he's just got Uxie and Mamoswine. And so, he doesn't have a plethora of options. So maybe he won't find the chance to set up rocks. But if he does, hopefully I can just remove them with Klefki. But yeah, otherwise, we're running Thunderbolt for Celesteela, Psychic to Oko Mega Lopunny, and Draco to hit basically anything else that isn't Ribombee. Draco Meteor, even from uninvested, does 88% min to Mamoswine that's uninvested in bulk. It does pretty decent damage to Skuntank, Shaman, etc. So, I'm a little, not frustrated, but I'm finding myself that Lottie is pressured into a defensive role quite a bit with my roster. And I'm sorry for the lag if you guys are seeing that. But yeah, I'm probably going to try and make some transactions to take some defensive pressure off of Latios, so that I can open it up for more offensive prowess. So with that said, and with my game lagging pretty badly, I'm going to sign off here. Randy is messaging me, and we are going to be doing our battle now. Make sure you check back to the channel tomorrow for our side of the battle. Make sure you check out Randy as well, because he does really good commentary on his battles. He usually does live comms. And I really came to enjoy Randy throughout last season. I liked his run through the GBA D-League, but unfortunately we're going to have to put a halt to his hashtag undefeated season. And, you know, the pursuit of the championship, you know, is going to have to go through us. And, yeah, with that said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check back the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. And until the next time, I'll see you guys later.